my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great.
Hello BYWG tribe. Here's a quick, less than 1 minute review of our supplement, product, and book of the month for September. At the end of the podcast, I will spend a few extra minutes going into finer details, so we encourage you to listen to the end. The supplement of the month for September is our potent probiotic formula called Probiotic Power Blend. The 10% discount code for the month is Gut Health 10. So that's lowercase GUTHEALTH 10. It is case sensitive. Our book of the month is The Buddha and the Badass by Vishen Lakhiani. Great one. And the product of the month is Pique Teas, Pique Teas, with a first time ever 5% discount on their entire line of teas using the code capital B, capital Y, capital W, capital G. All the links, discount codes, and special offers for the program, supplement, and book will be listed in the show notes and Apple Podcasts, post on our social media, in our weekly newsletter, and on our website at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com at the Listen Now tab. Thanks for listening.
Hello and welcome back to Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast. My name is Dr. Noah DeCoyer and I am your co-host. Today our guest is Dr. Dana Lyons, a 3-time guest. I've been really intrigued, Dana, by your new focus and thought it was time to have you on again. So do you mind if I do your bio and then we'll dive right in?
Sounds good.
All right. So Dr. Dana, owner of Alchemist Sobriety, is offering custom plans to help women who are newly sober or sober curious craft lives they love and don't want to escape or numb out. Through long-distance coaching packages and deep dives, she crafts routines that are healthy, simple, and just right for you. Her work is an alchemy of Chinese medicine, mindful eating, and minimalism. A doctor of Chinese medicine, primal health coach, and instructor, she owns sister business Alchemist Academy, offering online kits and courses. Dr. Dana has treated and coached hundreds of patients and clients. She also led more than 100 group sessions at addiction clinic centers and taught addiction treatment training for healthcare students and professionals. She has been an instructor since 2016, teaching courses that include advanced therapeutics, Chinese herbal medicine, Chinese medicine psychology, and holistic nutrition. She also has played a primary role in developing holistic nutrition program curriculum. Whew! Dana holds a master's degree from Georgetown University and completed her 5-year Doctor of Chinese Medicine training at the Academy of Classical Oriental Sciences in British Columbia. She is currently based in Victoria, British Columbia, where she teaches at Pacific Rim College and works remotely with women all over the world. Whew! That's some bio, Dana.
Thank you for that, Noah, and it's so good to be back on.
It is. It's been probably a year or two, but you're in a rare air of a 3-time guest. There's a couple 4-time guests, but you're in rarefied air, so that's pretty cool.
Nice.
So for the audience, let me just encourage, like I said, Dana's been on twice, so if you want to know Dana's backstory, a little bit about who she is, I would definitely recommend going back and listening to those podcasts for sure. So, Dana, your new business, I want to say a new business, but it seems like a new focus. That's what kind of piqued my interest about having you back on. So, what does Alchemist Sobriety mean, and how do you define sobriety, and how do they go together? How did you reach this point? You know, a little bit of switch in focus.
Sure, yeah. So my business was previously called Alchemist Eating, and that's because I am a paleo primal health coach and I work with a lot of people with eating patterns and eating disorders, eating addictions. But more and more, I felt called to shift into sobriety work, partly because of my own path. And I just felt like that's who I've really been called to work with lately, is women newly sober, or like you said, just sober curious. So my new name as of a number of months ago is Alchemist Sobriety. And the alchemy part of that is really just about bringing together different elements or different components, and the total of that is more than the sum of their parts. So that's the alchemy. And then, what I bring together is really Chinese medicine, soulful, mindful living. Minimalism fits in there too, and just eating and living practices that support vitality and health. So I'm bringing these different components together, and they're very much part of a holistic focus and package. And then the sobriety that's the new part. So that's really about just getting clear. And it's often around something like alcohol. So I work with a lot of people who are cutting back or not drinking, but really sobriety is much more expansive than that and has to do with cutting back or cutting out anything we use to numb out or escape, and just really getting down to the raw, honest truth of things, and even learning to sit with and feel things again. So that's really, really the focus of my work these days.
And where did this desire to bring this sobriety or your form of sobriety to the masses? Is it your journey? Did you just decide to do it out of the blue? Like, how did this come about?
Yeah, well, it's with my brand in general, I'd say it's evolved with me and it's changed with me over time, because the way I practice is very much an expression of my own path and my own life, and that's who I tend to have most resonance with as well. And over the past year, I got sober from alcohol, and bringing that in felt like an important part of my work. I don't like compartmentalizing things. So, when I came out as sober, the universal response really from people around me, the people closest to me, was, "You don't have a problem with alcohol. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're not even a drinker." But for me, the question really became not whether it's a problem, but whether my life is better without it. And I love sharing that message with other people. Another part is just drinking alcohol just felt increasingly out of alignment with the rest of my practice and the rest of my life, both in terms of health and spiritual practice and yoga practice and the work I was doing with clients. So I really wanted to weave that in and even make it a focus of the work.
And in sobriety, is there anything harder, or what have you found that's better?
Well, a whole lot is better. So maybe I'll start with that.
Sure.
Um, I have a history of certain things that I've struggled with: anxiety, depression, insomnia. All of that is phenomenally better. Like, it's really unbelievable. I have to say, like, this is the first time in more years than I can even remember where I'm not suffering from insomnia, and I'm not even really suffering from anxiety, and definitely not suffering from depression. So just having those disappear feels wonderful. And it's not that I'm not feeling hard feelings, but I'm just able to work with them in a different way and really go straight into them. And alcohol, of course, is a depressant. And so it's going to make any depression worse, and that's now out of the equation. Alcohol absolutely interferes with sleep, and now I've taken that away, that part away. And then just generally feeling better, happier, and more energy. I feel like my memory is better, more just more at home in my body. I'll say that though I'm not drinking alcohol, for me, alcohol was never my drug of choice. It was always things like OCD and anorexia and eating disorders and workaholism and perfectionism. But taking the alcohol away allowed me more clarity to focus on those areas and allowed me to feel just more at home in my body. So all of that is tons better. And then there's just like the more the vanity aspect of skin and just hoping I'm slowing the aging process a bit. I'm 45, and I definitely notice difference in my skin and just the shape of my face, and little things like that too, which aren't always so little.
Did you say you're 45?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 45 as well, and I could certainly say you do not look 45, that's for sure.
Well, that's always it's always good to hear. It always feels good.
I like to hear it as well. Um, full disclosure, I drink. I don't drink a lot. Um, but I can resonate with a lot of things you're saying. Like if I have one drink, actually I don't drink in the evenings anymore because I track everything through an aura ring. It totally destroys my sleep. So if I drink, I'm drinking in the afternoon, um, because I know that it just doesn't work for me in the evenings. So the sleep thing is huge, huge, huge part of it for sure.
I'd say that was probably one of my biggest motivations for stopping drink. I mean, sleep just affects everything else, and I could have one glass of wine and I would still be up at 3 a.m. with anxiety and wide awake. So, yeah, I mean, just from a biological standpoint, one drink reduces our REM cycles from like 7 to 2. So, I hear you on that one.
Yeah, I fall in that category for sure, for sure. So how did you begin, or what? Maybe just a person you work with, if somebody's newly sober or just sober curious, how do you recommend they begin, or how do they start? Is it a cold turkey kind of thing? Is it a slow progression? Is it individualistic?
I say it really depends on the person. And when I work with someone, I really meet them where they are. And a key piece is definitely not taking something on as you've done something wrong or it's your fault. Like I am absolutely not here to shame or to blame anyone. It can be extremely painful to be stuck in an addictive cycle or just a habit that's not serving you and you're just trying to get out of it. So, taking any blame or shame away as best you can, and that's so not easy. But trying to get into that place and offering yourself grace and space, and then really focusing in on not just what you want to cut out, but what do you want to create and what do you want to pull in. So, making a wish list of what do you want more of in your life and what good stuff is potentially going to come about. And in terms of going cold turkey or doing it in a more gradual way, that really depends on the person because some people really do best with going cold turkey, assuming that they're not physically dependent in a way that's going to cause problems. And in that case, they'd want to do it under medical supervision. But the vast majority of people could just quit. And for some people, that's going to work better. For others, it works with a more gradual approach. So maybe they just want to start cutting back or saving it for special occasions. It's definitely possible to practice sobriety. Maybe they want to take a month off or even a week. I mean, I recommend trying at least 10 days because it takes 10 days to get the alcohol out of your system. If someone's up for a month, that's fantastic. If someone's up for like 90 days, that's even better because certain benefits you don't really see until the hard parts are over, I'd say. And so if you can hang in there for 90 days, it's going to be way easier and way more exciting to stick with it.
I have a question for you. What is your thoughts or take on if you're like you and me and we're into biohacking and health and wellness in a variety of different ways, and we listen to podcasts, all the kind of things. There is a movement to find other natural substances that can somewhat mimic what an alcoholic beverage will do without the negative effects. What are your thoughts on things like that?
And could you give me an example of
Yeah,
something specific?
yeah, I can give you a few. One company, and I haven't tried these yet, called Kin Euphorics, Kin, and they're
Hmm.
like a mix of the different adaptogens that are
Yeah,
supposed
yeah.
to kind of relax you and take you down a little bit into a more like ashwagandha and rhodiola and things of that nature, and that piques my interest, but I haven't tried those yet. But But what I have been tinkering around with and get really good results, and I like it as an anti-anxiolytic would be kava, like true kava or kavaplex, maybe
Hmm.
mixed with like a little CBD oil or hemp oil, maybe mixed with a little magnesium, something to just I hate to say it this way, but it take the edge off, take it down, um, without any of the negative effects at all of alcohol. No problems with no effects with deep sleep. In fact, it increases your deep sleep or increases your REM sleep.
Yeah, I'm absolutely a fan of that sort of thing. I love the kava by Standard Process MediHerb, the one you just mentioned, I think, and love that. I love adaptogens. I haven't tried Kineuphoric, but I know of it, and I have looked online at their ingredient labels, and they look fantastic. And there's so much out there now because a lot of people are actually wanting to just feel good and support their longevity and their vitality. So there's so much fun stuff out there. I personally take maca powder regularly. I take Chinese herbs regularly. So all of that stuff, as long as you're choosing things that are a good fit for you and your pattern and not just randomly throwing a whole bunch, like all the stuff in the world on top of your system. But if you're choosing and selecting carefully or you're getting guidance from a practitioner, then yeah, that's excellent.
Cool, cool. Now, like you said, you're also a Chinese medicine doctor. You're also a minimalist, which I definitely am not. How does how does that fit into this whole package of sobriety and what you teach?
Yeah, well, and I'm a minimalist, but I have to say, like you, I'm totally into biohacking, so I keep buying these toys, and
Yeah.
I have this like sauna blanket now, and I don't know, like digital light blocking glasses, so it's hard, but yeah, I mean, overall, I keep my belongings very few, very simple, and for me, minimalism, I take a really expansive approach. And in the sense, I'm not just talking about stuff, but just life. Like what accounts do I follow on social media? What messaging do I surround myself with? Um, in terms of sobriety and minimalism, both involve getting really simple and just bringing in what you love and what truly matters and getting back to that. So I'd say that's where they overlap and even support one another.
And Chinese medicine?
Yeah, well, my approach with working with people who are sober curious or newly sober or just wanting to get sober or anything else really, it's Chinese medicine based, and Chinese medicine is a holistic medicine. So we're really looking at body, mind, spirit, and rather than just preaching an abstinence-based approach of like just take the thing away, I really help people look at the root of what's going on. And this could be because they're trying to get off of alcohol or drugs or sugar or shopping addiction or codependency or whatever, but really looking at the root of the pattern and also addressing everything that we can do in the body, the mind, and potentially the spirit, if they're open to that, to addressing what's going on in their life. And it's so important because otherwise, just as humans, if we take one thing away, we might reach for the next thing. So otherwise, that's it's just so important to look at, well, what's really going on here and how can we support your whole system and your whole ecology, both inside and in terms of your surroundings. And that completely lines up with Chinese medicine.
That's cool. That's cool. So let me give you this question. So you're working with somebody and they ask you this, what about all the benefits of drinking? We know that people in the blue zones that drink tend to live longer, and a glass of wine a day seems to increase longevity with what's resveratrol. I can't even say that word today. So what do you say when somebody asks you a question or challenges you with a question like that?
Yeah, and people are definitely going to bring those studies up because we tend to gravitate towards studies and research results and findings that support our beliefs. And with any belief, you can pretty much find studies and research that backs it up. I mean, that's
Hmm.
the whole nature of research and scientific studies, unfortunately. Um, One thing I'll say is always look at, first of all, what are the other factors and variables involved in the studies. Second, I will point people to the expert. So, one resource that I usually give people is I tell them to check out if they're really serious about investigating the health benefits health versus the health detriments of drinking, is to check out Annie Grace's work. She has a book, This Naked Mind, and it's fantastic. It's so clear and digestible, but she really synthesizes a lot of the scientific research out there and in very clear language explains what alcohol does to our body and brain. She also explains why so many studies show that and prove that alcohol is a toxin. It causes cancer, it causes liver damage, it causes heart damage, it causes brain shrinking, like all these things. And but those aren't the ones that get picked up by the media. So which ones are the media latching onto? And she talks about that as well. And the other thing I'll say is that to make it way simpler, I mean, I totally support people checking out Annie Grace's work. It's really fantastic. But to make it even simpler, ask yourself, does alcohol ever actually make me feel better? Not in the moment necessarily, but later that night when I'm falling asleep or the next day. I mean, I've never once in my life regretted not drinking. And so our body, our mind really is a good barometer if we're honest.
I agree. As a chiropractor, I'm always more focused on things that are neurotoxic, and there's no really getting around it. Alcohol is a neurotoxin, whether you decide to drink or not, whether it's social or just once in a blue moon or a casual drink with a friend. It's a neurotoxin. Any which way you look about look about it.
Yeah.
That's fact.
And that's really the key thing. For me it's totally not a moral or an ethical issue unless you're hurting other people, which does often happen with alcohol. But that aside, it's just getting clear if you're ingesting a toxin, what you're ingesting, and getting clear on it so that you can decide yourself what the trade-off, if it's worth the trade-offs.
Yeah, totally agree.
Oh,
Um,
and I do want to add with that if, because so many people are struggling with depression and anxiety and mental health issues, alcohol makes them worse, 100%. So if that is anyone listening, like that is really the thing. Like if they're suffering from anxiety, depression, just all manner of mental health issues, alcohol really does pour gasoline on that.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, it's a depressant too, with 100%. Like there's a couple things you could say for certain. It's a
Hmm.
neurotoxic, it's a depressant. There's no doubt about that.
Hmm.
So, as somebody listening, they want to kind of give it a go themselves or just kind of feel it out. Do they do what you said before? Try it for 10 days minimal, give it 3 months. Is that the kind of test or experiment they should do?
Yeah, I mean, I recommend getting clear on their intention. So getting clear, okay, picking the amount of time and sticking with it, like making a commitment, doing it with lots of mindfulness intention. Also getting clear on, again, what are they pulling towards? Do they want to, make a wish list? Like, do they want to feel healthier? Do they want to have more energy? Do they want to sleep better? Maybe they want to lose weight. Maybe they want to save money because all these things could potentially come in. Um, and make a list as a form of motivation. Um, and it could be anything from deepening their yoga practice to they just want to not age their skin as fast. It can be anything. And then envisioning themselves, okay, how will I feel 10 days after not drinking, or how I feel a month after not drinking, and just get it in their mind. And then also doing things, and this is a key part, because I never want something to be just about deprivation. That just tends to lead to a yo-yo effect and balancing back and forth, and maybe even binging more after they get off their experiment. So whatever they can do to create a daily life, a home life, a work life that feels good, and that they don't want to escape as much, and they don't want to numb out. And there's so many ways to do that. And when I work with people, we really do look at all the different components that speak to them. But that's so important. And then the other part is, really choosing their advertising, what messages surrounding them. I really edit rigorously in my own life. And also recruiting support and accountability. So who are they choosing to spend time with, or who are they reading or following on social media? All of that's important, and it can make getting sober fun and exciting, or it can make it really hard and miserable, depending on which advertising, which messaging you surround yourself with.
Yeah, I would imagine in many cases you'd have to leave people, things, places behind if you're really serious about becoming sober.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be that you suddenly go out and get a whole new group of friends, that's for sure. Because believe it or not, many people, they'll be like, oh, okay. Like these days, a lot of people are getting healthier. They're going on like a Whole30, or they're doing a detox. So even just saying something like that can take some of the pressure off. But sometimes relationships will have to be put on hold for a little while, or they're going to change. Oftentimes I would say relationships change a bit. It doesn't have to be bad. It might be a little bit awkward at first, but that totally gets easier and better with practice. We have firsts in sobriety. So maybe it's your first date in sobriety, or your first friend date, or your first dinner out. And all of those are going to feel unusual and awkward perhaps, but over time they totally get easier. And one of the best parts about stopping drinking is you really regain your capacity to find joy in things that are not drinking, that we tend to lose sight of if we're drinking regularly. But you probably will get pushback from some people. So I don't want to minimize that either. And that's why it's so important to surround yourself with other messaging, so that you're not feeling totally alone or isolated.
Totally. Now, you work one-on-one with people. You also on your website you have a lot of programs, do-it-yourself kits. Why don't you explain a couple of the different options you have on your website and how you work with people?
Sure. Yeah, I have a one-on-one coaching package. So that's a 90-day package, and some people just sign up over and over again to work with me one-on-one. So I do have that. I will say that I am limiting that work. I do have a few spots open, but my schedule is just full. So if people are interested in that, better to contact me sooner rather than later, at least at this point in time. So it's a 90-day coaching package, all remote. And then I have a 2-session deep dive, also remote. I work with people all over the world. And though my website and my branding is all about women, I will say that I do work with some men. So you're not, or people who maybe don't identify as man or woman. I'm very inclusive. Anybody's welcome. And so just for people to know that. And I also offer a totally online, downloadable, self-guided sobriety kit and recovery journal. And that is something that I made so that people can have support even if they can't afford to do one-on-one work. It's not a replacement for one-on-one work by any stretch, but it's something that will give you support at home. You can do it yourself. It's very comprehensive. I made it to be hopefully fun and inspiring. And you don't even have to be sober or sober curious. The idea is to really craft a life that you want. And in all areas, it's very holistic. So eating, body image, your routines and lifestyle, even finances and your relationship with money, which is huge for a lot of people, relationships and how to navigate those. How do you design your home and workspace in a way that's supportive? I even threw in a section on personal style because my thing is I want people to get excited about their lives again so that they don't feel like they have to numb out.
And you have other courses too, right? On your site. Tons. I was just sniffing around there today, right?
Yeah. So at alchemistacademy.club, I have a number of things. I have a sobriety and recovery section, and that's where people can find the sobriety kit, as well as an eating recovery, a body as ally, basically an eating disorder kit. And then I have a lot of Chinese medicine courses. So I'm an instructor of Chinese medicine at the college here locally, and I just started creating online courses that are available to anyone. So those are up, and I'm super excited about that part. It's kind of a whole other part of my brand and my business, Alchemist Academy, but those are open to anyone. So anyone interested or curious about Chinese medicine can totally take those as well.
Are you practicing acupuncture any longer or not really?
I'm not practicing it here in Canada because my licenses for that are all in the States. So and I guess I should say as well that if people want herbs, I'm prescribing herbs for people who live in the States. I have them drop shipped to people there, but otherwise the work is very much coaching, talk based, and that sort of thing.
Okay, cool, cool. And what are the different websites? It's alchemistsobriety.com.
Yeah, and alchemistsobriety.com is probably the best place to go because from there you can then link through to Alchemist Academy, and you can find in the top upper bar you can find a link to the sobriety kit and Alchemist Academy as well. I also have a free newsletter and free ebooks there. I try to put out a blog post at least once a week, and this is a new project. I have a little, I'm creating like a minimalist biohacking shop. It's kind of in a beta phase, but that's up on Alchemist Sobriety as well.
Yeah, I always like sniffing around and seeing what you're up what you're up to and what your favorite things are. So I got two final questions. One, I don't have space for a sauna, so I've been thinking about getting one of those the sauna blankets that you use. How do you like it?
I love it. I actually was just in it right before this call. I get in it every day in the morning or the evening, and I listen to podcasts or meditate or breathe, and it's not the same as going to like a hot yoga class, but it really does get a nice sweat. And yeah, I'm just such a fan of having a big sweat every day. It really helps my mind as much as my body, so huge fan of those.
Hard to clean, hard to maintain.
I haven't had any problems with it. I just spray it down afterwards and leave it open for a little while to kind of let it air out. The biggest problem for me is that my cats are obsessed with it and want to get on top of it when it's open, and like yeah, you have to guard against the cats scratching it and such. But otherwise it's pretty easy.
Cool, cool. Definitely gonna get one. And so since you talked a little bit about your routine with the deep sweat every day, what's your routine from waking to sleeping, or a general routine that you do?
Yeah. Well, since I work remotely and I am an introvert, my routine hasn't changed that much with quarantine. The one exception is I now teach by Zoom instead of going into the college. But on waking, I've totally done away with an alarm clock these days. So I wake naturally and then usually pretty early because of my cats, even if I wasn't going to wake early. And then I do the 5 Tibetans. well, I should say first I take a freezing cold shower. That's very quick. And then I do Tibetans, the 5 Tibetans, a breath and yogic practice. Then I drink a bulletproof drink. I'm on coffee these days, but I'm feeling the itch to get off it again. I kind of go in and out with it. And hop on the computer, start working. And after a little while, then I'll often do a 30-minute sauna, and after that do a yoga practice and have lunch, just usually or always my first meal of the day. And then I usually jump back into work for a while, so teaching or my own business, and do that all afternoon. I might take a walk. There's beautiful water down the street, so I might walk down there. Afternoon before dinner, I practice yoga. And eat dinner. After dinner, I do a meditation, not a long one, but probably about 15 minutes or so. And then I read for a while before bed. And that's pretty much what I do like every single day.
It's important to have rhythms, and I love that question.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say now things are opening back up a bit here. So I've been experimenting with I've been going to classes, and I normally would go to hot yoga classes, but also I just practice at yoga at home anyway. So I've been experimenting with different classes, including boxing and bar, and I am sore in every inch of my body. So that's kind of shifting up my routine a little bit, but it's kind of fun to play.
During quarantine, I've taken more Pilates classes than I've ever taken, which
Yeah,
which I would say the same. My core is very different than it was 3 months ago, for sure.
nice.
And
Yeah,
what were you
it,
gonna say?
I was just gonna say, yeah, it really has been an opportunity for a lot of people to try out different things in that regard.
Yeah. And I agree with you. And I started working with an Egoscue practitioner as well. So,
Nice.
so
Mm.
I'm trying different things as well. I think it's a good idea. For
Yeah.
sure. For sure. So any last words, Dana?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm so happy to be back on though, Noah. So thanks again, and I really appreciate it.
Great. Yes, all the links and all the kind of stuff that we talked about today will be, in the show notes when it's released. Dana, thanks again so much for being on. I love talking to you. Your voice itself is so incredibly soothing. Holy moly.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, have a great day. Enjoy the cats in the sauna, and I'll let you know when I get mine.
sounds good. Thank you, Noah.
All right. My name is Dr. Noah DeCoya, your co-host, and you're listening to the Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast. If you like what you've heard today, please share this to your friends and family. Thank you. And as my oldest son Hayden says, be awesome and never unawesome.
So here's some more specifics. Our August supplement of the month is Vitamin C Boost. It is a blend of vitamin C both as ascorbic acid and in the natural food source, the acerola cherry. Vitamin C is crucial for immune function and collagen production. It can help you sleep by lowering cortisol at night and is particularly important for cigarette smokers. We've added in grapeseed extract, glutathione, and zinc to truly make this a one-of-a-kind vitamin C supplement. For the entire month of August, if you use the code lowercase BOOST10, Boost 10, you will receive 10% off this incredible new formulation. You can pick it up at our website at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com, or if you're local, you can pick it up at the office. Just mention the code. The August book of the month is The Serpent and the Butterfly, The 7 Laws of Healing by Dr. Ben Reeves. This is a really profound, easy book to read. You can listen to Dr. Mike interview Dr. Ben on the July 20th BYWG podcast. Our highlighted program for August is from our friend, soul-inspired girl, Dr. Laura Foster. The program is called Reclaim Your Voice, and the 15% discount code for our listeners is capital BYWG. Reclaim Your Voice is a 21-day online series for women who seek to speak their absolute truth with more confidence, courage, and conviction. The program begins August 10th. The link will be in the podcast show notes and weekly emails. Included will also be an invitation for female listeners to join the private Facebook group called Soul Inspired Girl, a space for heart-led women. And mind you, girl is not spelled with an I, it's spelled with a U. Thanks for listening, and as always, be awesome and never unawesome. Hey guys, and I'm back. Our September supplement of the month is our very own Probiotic Power Blend. Probiotics are probably one of the most varied and confusing supplements available. There are over 200 strains of probiotics, and not are all created equal or have the same benefit. We have done the hard work for you. We spent months researching the best recommendations and reading the current literature to identify the top 9 strains to include in our Probiotic Power Blend. Probiotic Power Blend contains probiotic strains that are temperature and acid resistant, so they make it through the stomach and into the intestinal tract for more effectiveness. For the entire month of September, if you use the code GUTHEALTH10, you will receive 10% off this incredibly potent probiotic. You can pick it up at our office or our website at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com. The September 2020 book of the month is The Buddha and the Badass, The Secret Spiritual Art of Succeeding at Work by Vishen Lakhiani, founder of Mind Valley. Both Dr. Mike and I loved this book and recently devoured it in just a few days. For me personally, the last chapter, specifically revolving around the idea of lofty questions, was specifically empowering to me. We highly suggest you check out this book. Our highlighted product of the month is a return favorite and one of my personal favorites as well, Peak Teas. Peak Teas are the freshest and rarest plants extracted via a proprietary cold brew crystallization that gently preserves active compounds at maximum potential. They include things like green teas, black teas, herbal teas, superfoods, and so much more. You just tear open a small sachet, mix it with either cold or hot water per directions, and you have an incredible tasting, incredible healthy beverage ready to go. And they pair beautifully with probiotics for great digestive health. Here are some benefits. They support gut health for healthy digestion. They support a healthy immune system. They can provide calm energy because they're usually high in theanine, and they support healthy weight management. For our listeners, just go to their website at www.peaktea.com and use the code capital B, capital Y, capital W, capital G for 5% off their entire site. Some of my personal favorites, without a doubt, are Sacred Oolong Tea and the Hibiscus Tea. Thank you for listening, and as always, be awesome and never unawesome.